everyone, and welcome to our interview series with nature-based school founders. I am Meagan Duncan, founder of Connected Kids Thrive, positive behavior guide for nature schools. And today we have Brandy with Wild Roots Forest School. And we are so excited to get to talk to Brandy. Every interview that we get to have, these founders are sharing such amazing wisdom, and their stories are so generous and inspiring. And so, no matter who you are as our audience, whether you are another founder, an educator, a parent, if you serve children at all, you're going to find so much value in our conversation with Brandy and in every conversation that we have. And so, as always, the four questions that we're kind of go over today are Brandy, what inspired you to start your school in the first place? Number two will be, what behavioral shift have you overcome or specific challenge have you overcome along your journey? Number three, what nugget of wisdom can you share with us that you wish you would have known at the beginning of your journey? And then number four, what is your wish for our listeners here? And so, with that, please introduce yourself and we'll get started.
Right. So my name is Brandy. I am in the Louisiana area. So I am in Lafayette, Louisiana. Um, Forest School in general is not here very much. So I am one of the first to be here.
Okay.
Um, and what kind of brought it about for us is my daughter was born in the height of COVID,
Oh,
as I think most of our kids are right now.
yeah.
And I was in the school system before COVID.
Mhm.
So I was actually pregnant during COVID. And in March, they let out of schools. So I was going through pregnancy at that point. And whenever I had her, everybody thinks you're just going to go back to work and everything's is going to go back to normal. And this child evolved me in ways that I didn't think possible.
Mhm.
um, so she is my reason. And now we have kindergarten happening because she's in kindergarten. So my hope for the school is it grows with her. And next year we'll have kindergarten and first grade and just hopefully, continue growing with this group. So
Yeah.
it's been amazing.
Thank you. And um, as you share your inspiration, what were you doing as far as serving kiddos in school prior?
So I was a paraeducator. So
Okay.
my heart is the special needs community. That's always been my heart. I teach swimming lessons to the special needs community here too. So it all just kind of clicked, you know. I am on the board for the Autism Society as well. So just knowing um, that a lot of kids, especially now, are struggling in the classroom, in the four walls, and they need more than the structure that is given right now.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I was in the SPED classroom and working, one on one as a para educator and helping the teachers, in those classes.
And so you had your daughter, and did you decide, okay, I'm not going to go back to four walls, that kind of container. I want to create a more natural container.
100%. So since she was little, we spent a lot of time outside
Hmm.
and seeing how she developed and the way that her brain has connected things
Hmm.
just through experiencing, the seasons and science in general. She loves science. So whenever she was young, whenever I would wash the dishes, I had her up on a stool on the side of me. And she was washing rocks and crystals and stones. And, so we started very organic.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, so I can't imagine her sitting in a classroom for 8 hours. I can't. And being in a separate classroom, on the other side of the school wasn't going to work for me. So um, we had to go a different route, but I'm loving every minute.
So does your daughter have autism or
No, that's just a huge passion for me.
yeah.
I think especially for okay, she's needing food right now. Can you get a Slim Jim on top of the microwave? Sorry. Um, so I think seeing in the sped classroom how the kids really, desks and the four walls, it's a challenge, um, and just seeing how her brain has connected things, it ties it
Yeah,
all together. I think it's neurotypical plus special needs. They all need it.
I do. And I bet you've seen, kiddos with special interests or needs really thrive in your environment, along with, neurotypical kiddos too.
Right.
Um, yeah, I the four walls presents some challenges for sure, oftentimes. Okay, what as you've gone along in your journey, what is there a challenge that you've overcome or a behavioral shift, a new belief that you've had to kind of embrace that you can share with us?
For myself, 100%. So because I was in the classroom,
Mhm.
whenever you're working in a school system, you have the curriculum that they give you, and that curriculum has to be followed because they're worried about grades
Yeah.
and they're worried about testing, and a lot of things are taught for the test. And the kids, they don't really retain a lot. But coming from that environment and being so structured in what the curriculum is supposed to be, to now seeing that them having the ability, to really kind of express things on their own and find out what their interests are and then really focus on
Mhm.
those things. Um, it's still hard because I still want, to hit a curriculum and I still want to focus on ELA and I want to focus on all of these things because I know if they leave me, they're going to need those things in school. So we still focus, but at the same time, it's maybe 30 to 40 minutes of the day instead of 8 hours
Mhm.
sitting, you
Yeah.
know?
And
So
I
that's a
think
really big shift for me.
that's what happened to me too. I think when we
Mhm.
can get away from, prioritizing the agenda and checking those boxes, we can come back to the child in front of us and make that child our agenda and what
Yes.
they're interested in our agenda. And like you said before, your own kiddo and all these kiddos, they just connect things in their environment in a much more natural way, whether it's faster or slower or however that goes for them. I remember I my kiddos were when I had my little school, they were looking at a little ladybug. And through there, when I finally learned to, because it was hard for me too, but when I finally learned to trust them in the process,
Mhm.
they, through their questions, they eventually, from this little ladybug, inquired if space had a smell.
Mm.
And had I had the box curriculum and them sitting down, that would have never unfolded. And
No.
so it can be hard. It can be hard to trust ourselves, to trust the kids, for the kids to trust
Mhm.
themselves and trust us back for sure.
Yeah.
And
So
like,
I'm sorry, the kids that I have right now are like kindergarten age, right? Pre-K to
mhm,
kindergarten.
mhm,
So the other day we were playing on the slides and one of my little boys tried to stand up mid-slide. So he went tumbling down. So it ended up being a lesson in gravity. And
yeah,
then we ended up painting with gravity. We started learning about pendulums and simple machines. And whenever you see the lesson that's in front of you instead of the lesson that's in a book that you're told that that's what you have to do right now, it just
mhm,
flows and it clicks.
yeah. And
It,
they're ready for it, and it yeah flows and clicks exactly that. I agree. And like you said before too, our kiddos, when we can allow that space and time, are our best teachers, and they'll tell us what they're ready for, or whatever happens to them that we can kind of dive into. Exactly. And then for our question number three, what nugget of wisdom that you have gleaned now do you wish you would have known at the start of your journey?
I know that there are a lot of teachers, especially in my area, that want to get involved in things like this, and they're leery, because here we don't have the education for it. It's kind of learn as you go, in a lot of
Mhm.
ways, and talking to people like you and really, you know, researching and finding all the information that you need personally. So I would say go for it. Don't wait until you find the people. The people are going to find you because what they're looking for, if you're offering, they're going to come. I think a lot of us get so stuck in this mindset that we have to have the people before we begin.
Yeah.
And, you know, it it happens. You're going to find your tribe. They all come to find you at some point. And whenever they're ready, they're looking for it and you're already there. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's start,
It's
you know,
just start.
just start.
I I would say that is the number one wisdom nugget that every founder that we've talked to in this series is just start.
Just
It'll
start.
all unfold. You'll learn as you go. The kids will learn as they go. The parents will find you. I think there's so much more awareness now, and parents really are looking for something more intimate. And I think that's a job that we have to do too, as um, nature-based school founders, is educate our communities about, the challenges and the problems that come with institutionalized care for these little ones, and the problem with four walls and sitting at desks all the time, and all those things. Just that loving education. Yeah, but and maybe we can talk about that in another time or in another series on what that can look like. But yeah, just start, just like you said.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a lot of families right now. I think that, like you just said, they're looking for it. They're seeing before their kids even start, they're seeing kids that have, come before them. Maybe it's cousins or older siblings, maybe their own experiences that they don't
mhm,
want that for their kids now. The
mhm.
institutional situation where you're, being indoctrinated and, just all of those things. So parents are looking, they're looking for alternative ways. And the outside thing, regardless of the temperatures and, the weather, they love it. They really do, and they love the kids coming home dirty.
Yes.
They
And
love
And
all of
what I have found, and I'm sure you did, and so many, if there's, founder or people listening that are curious, I mean, you'll find your parents that they'll learn along with you, and then they will totally go all in, have
Oh
your
yeah.
back, you'll have their back, and it will be your own little intimate community. And parents are
Oh, yeah.
desperate for that too.
They are. Once you find your tribe, you kind of, that's
That,
it.
that's it. Yep.
And your tribe is looking for you too. They really
Yeah.
are. So
Amazing. And then yeah, lastly, what is what would you say your wish would be for our audience listening?
to give kids the freedom to really find their own interest. Today we had a group of kids and it's a camp this week. It's not even school. So these are kids that are just there for the week.
Mhm.
And we had a tinker box brought in today, and it was just so many things. It was string and it was wire and it was tape and it was, sticks. And when I tell you these kids made a lamp and they made an entire village and I mean, like their brains are just this open canvas, and I don't think many kids now are given the opportunity to really explore and be quote unquote bored,
Mhm.
and really just explore and see what happens, not be told what happens or watch somebody else do it on TV, but for them to experience it themselves, So I guess my dream would be to let kids have those opportunities, as much as we can.
Yeah. And so, parents listening, whether that's just giving them a ball of string at home and saying, "What you gonna do with this?" And just
Yeah.
releasing pressure, or bringing them somewhere to a little nature-based camp, if they're in a regular setting and they can be around other kiddos and kind of the same thing unfolds. Like, what are we gonna do with this? And them just sitting in that moment of and I'm sure you've experienced this too, and probably many of our listeners, that light bulb, their brightness just sparks. And because there's no
Mhm.
wrong way to do it. When
Right.
we give them a product, and I'm sure this is a box that you scream from too, these products that have only one correct way, to look at the end. And maybe there's a time and place for some of that stuff, but when it's all day, every day, we've got kiddos really fighting for some dignity. And but when they're given something and they can just create, and there is no wrong way, they can just and all of their senses, integrate, and they have something that they created, and they can really take a lot of pride in that. Um, I have that very same wish. And I think it comes back to trust. I think with every one of these conversations too, it really comes back to trust as the foundation of I trust you, you trust me, you trust yourself, and I trust myself. It's just, and you mentioned freedom, the freedom to just move through that. So,
Right. That
um,
all falls into, the risky play and allowing
mm,
them to have that too, the trust in and of itself. Like some of the kids today, they're on equipment, sometimes the playground or whatever. And, I mean, most equipment that we go to, there's open spaces, those holes that, every parent, especially me, helicopter parent, 100%, um, for my own, um, where we want to catch them and we want to constantly be there, but as you go through this too, and I guess that's kind of been another, um, thing that I have had to adjust is allowing them to take risks and asking them if they feel safe, So it's that trust both ways. And a lot of that you gain, that trust for each other. Um, yeah,
and
it's
something that, when I think of the word risk, I really when an adult guide has a fear of a risk for a child, it's actually a risk for us that we're afraid to lean into, because it's risky for us to let a child take a risk or not be, quote unquote 100% safe 100% of the time. It's risky for us, so it can be, you know anytime that I have resistance to something out there, it's a reflection of what's going on in here. And
right.
so um yeah, amazing. Anything else that you want to mention?
Um, I mean, not necessarily.
Well, how
Um,
can people find you and find out more about your school and follow you?
right. So I am on Facebook as Wild Roots Forest School, Lafayette, Louisiana, is the area. And then if you're in the area, I mean, we are the only one. So it's not hard once you look. But Facebook is, the spot to find me for sure right now. And I'm sure we will have it linked below at some point. Um, but reach out. I mean, we have so many things going on. Families that are interested are more than welcome to come and tour, come spend the day with us. It is for some families and it's not for some, and either way is okay. Um, but yeah, so
Would would you say too that you would be willing to, if someone was interested in creating a little nature school, would you be open to supporting them too along their journey?
100%. We have one school in Baton Rouge right now that we do pen pals with. So like we do have, some connections in that way, but I am definitely open to conversations for sure.
Okay. So our audience, if you're listening, definitely reach out to Brandy if you're close by or just curious about her school, her journey. She's, has so much wisdom to offer. How long have you had your school? I didn't even ask that.
So we started with a toddler group at Anna was probably 3, so probably about 2 years now.
Yeah.
And we have another toddler group that we do on Thursdays
Yeah.
also. So it's not just the kindergarten group. So we do that and the toddler group. Um, but yeah, so about 2 years now. But school itself, kindergarten is this year, is our first.
And
So
that's the other thing that I would love to like touch on for a second is these nature-based school programs can look like anything the founder wants it to. That's the you want a 2-hour program? Make a 2-hour program. You want a full day, kindergarten, older kids, like wherever
right.
your heart and passion is, and it will evolve.
Yeah,
But
it will.
you can start there, find your tribe, start making that difference that you want to make. And there's so many people like Brandy and so many others that are so happy and willing to help. Um, you along the way. And for myself, if I help nature-based schools really click in that behavior component. So taking the walls away is such an empowering thing for kiddos, and sometimes they need a different kind of container. Sometimes taking the wall away isn't quite enough. So, I help with those boundaries. And so if
Right.
you're interested in any of the behavior piece, you can reach out to me at connectedkidsthrive.com or on Facebook, Connected Kids Thrive too. Or you can DM me. I'm always available through there. And so with that, thank you, Brandy, so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone who is listening. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Check out all the other conversations. If you are a founder and want your story shared also, let me know and we'll make sure to feature you. All right, everyone. Talk to you later.
Thank
Bye.